welcome back to art. Today we are going to be learning about a new element of art and then take some notes inside of our art notebook. Let's go learn and create. Value is how light or dark a color or hue is. We call these tints and shades. A tint is when you add white to a color to make it lighter looking. For example, if we added red and white together, we would get the color pink. If we did purple and white together, we would get the color lavender or lilac. Shade is when you add black to a color to make it darker looking. For example, if we mixed black and orange together, we would get the color burnt orange. If we mixed blue and black together, we would get a darker blue. Let's take a look at a few examples of tints and shades. Tell me if this is a tint or a shade of a certain color. Our first one is a blue. Is this blue a tint or a shade? It's a shade. We added black to make the blue look darker. Is this a tint or a shade of yellow? It's a tint. We added white to yellow to make it look lighter. Is this a tint or a shade of green? This is a shade. We added black to make the green look darker. Is this a tint or a shade of red? This is a tint of red. We added white to it to make it look lighter. Is this a tint or a shade of purple? This is a tint of purple. We added white to make the purple look lighter. Great job at knowing your values, boys and girls. Adding value to a picture can make objects appear three-dimensional. Let's look at this sphere. There are 5 values in this picture. The lightest part is called the highlight. That is where the light is directly hitting the sphere. The next lightest value is the reflected light. It is located on the bottom of the sphere. The light is bouncing off the table and hitting the sphere in this area. The middle value is called the midtone or halftone. It is the pure color of the sphere, and it is here on the sphere close to the highlight. The fourth value is the core shadow. That is the second darkest value on the sphere, and it is located in the middle region of the sphere. The last value is the darkest. It's called the cast shadow. When you put all these values together, you can make anything look three-dimensional on paper. All right, boys and girls, once you have your art notebook, colors, and your pencil, we're ready to start. You guys are going to be doing 2 entries for me today. Our first one is going to be a value chart of our colors. So open your book to a blank page. And we are first going to write the title, value, so V-A-L-U-E. Then 2 subtitles called tint and shade. All right. Now, what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a black crayon, a white crayon, and you're going to choose 3 colors from your 6 basic colors. I chose red, blue, and green. Now, let's do our first one. So you get your color in the middle, in between the tint and shade. You're going to color it a color. Then for shade, we're going to get our black, because when you add black to a color, it's a shade. And you're just going to very lightly put some black under here. And you're going to get your color again, and you're going to very lightly go over the black. So we can see that the red is starting to look a lot darker. All right, Now for the tint side, we're going to be adding white to our red, but we're going to put red down first. So we're going to very lightly put our red down, then get our white and go over it. It's a little harder to see white, but that's okay. It is a lot lighter than our color. So that's our tint and our shade. Let's do our next color. I have green, so I'm going to put green down in the middle. And let's do our tint first. So we have our green. We're going to put it down very lightly, not pressing down hard. Then are we going to use black or white? Black or white? We're going to use white for this because it's a tint, so we're going to add white to this part of the green. So it's a lighter green. Now let's do our shade. So we need to get our black very lightly, not pressing hard. Get our green, and we're going over that. Again, lightly, not pressing down hard. This helps to mix the colors together. So now we have kind of a dark forest green. All right, let's do our last color. It's blue. So I put my blue down, right? And then let's do our shade. So we get black, lightly put it down, get our blue. Again, go over our black. We're not pressing hard. Just going over that. Now we have a darker blue, kind of looks like the night sky. Oh, still in our blue. We're gonna do our tint side, so we lightly put our blue down. Then get our white and go over that. All right, so this is our color value chart. As you can see, we have our tints on one side, our shades on one side, and the original color in the middle. Now for the next part, we're going to be making a value sphere. So we need to turn our book to an open page, and at the top, we're going to write value sphere. So V-A-L-U-E, and sphere, S-P-H-E-R-E. All right. So as you can see, value sphere. Then we're going to make a gradient chart. So it's just going to be a rectangle going across like that. And we are going to split this into 5 sections. They don't have to be equal sections, but there need to be 5 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, they aren't equal, but that's okay. So I have 5 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now with your pencil, we are going to be making the 5 values of our sphere. So the first one is our highlight. We don't put anything in it because that's the lightest part of our sphere. The second one is going to be our mid-tone, or not, I'm sorry, our reflected light. So we're just going to very lightly add some pencil in there. It's very, very light. There's not a lot of pencil inside of that. Our next part is our mid-tone or half-tone. So it's a little darker. So it's not super dark. We're just pressing just a little harder. All right, as you can see the difference. So we have a highlight, our reflected light, our mid-tone, half-tone. Our next one is going to be our core shadow. So that's going to be darker than our mid-tone. So we're pressing down just a little more for that. Then our last section is going to be our cast shadow. And that's going to be our darkest point. So you can press down really hard for this one. So that's our cast shadow. Now what I want you to do is I want you to label these, okay? So this first one is highlight, light. Our next one is a reflected light. Third is our halftone or midtone. You can write whatever, whichever one. Mid-tone. Our fourth one is our core shadow. It's 2 words. And then our last one is our cast shadow. All right, so there we have our different values for our sphere. Now we're going to be actually making our sphere. So we need to start off with a circle. So draw a good sized circle on your paper. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want it teeny tiny either because we want to be able to color inside of our circle. Next thing is that we need to have a light source, and the way that we need to decide where our light is coming from. I'm gonna put my light source over here. Doesn't have to be over there, but this is how you draw a light source so we know where it is. So it's just a triangle and a little curved line inside so that we know that is our light source. So let's label that light source. L-I-G-H-T-S-O-U-R-C-E. So that's our light source. Now when we do a sphere for to make our values, we are going to first create our highlight. That's where the light is hitting directly onto our sphere. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw just a oval inside of our sphere, and make sure that it's not on the very edge of this circle, because then it's not going to be as realistic. It needs to be a little off of the edge of our circle. So I put my highlight here. Our next thing is our that we're going to be drawing is our mid-tone. Not a reflected light. We're going to go to our mid-tone, and it's going to go all the way around here. So what I want y'all to do is draw a dashed curved line going across this circle part. So curve, 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 curve. So all this right here is going to be our mid-tone. This part right here is going to be our core shadow, but right here is going to be a reflected light. So we're going to draw another small curved dashed line right there. So we have our mid-tone, our highlight, our mid-tone, core shadow, and our reflected light. Then our cast shadow we are going to make is just going to be a big curved line right there. So there we have all of we've sectioned off all of our values. Our highlight, we do not color in, but our mid-tone, you can see how dark we need to put it right there. So that's what we're going to do with our pencil. We're going to be coloring this part in. Are we putting a lot of pressure on this? No, we're not putting a lot of pressure on this. We are just very lightly putting pressure on our pencil. Okay. So that is our mid-tone or half tone. That's right here. This is our core shadow, so we're going to be pressing a little harder. So we're going to press just a little harder. All right. There is our core shadow. You can see I'm going in different directions with my pencil to make it look darker. Then this section is our reflected light. You're not putting a lot of pressure on this, so we're going back to light pressure. All right, so I'm gonna lift this up so you can see. So we have our mid-tone, our core shadow, our reflected light. Then this is going to be our darkest point, so that's our cast shadow. So we're going to color this in with as much pressure as we can. And this is going to be our darkest point. So go all the way up to the edge of that circle, but try not to get inside of the reflected light. And the reason our reflected light is down there is because when we have light, it goes in a straight line. So it is going down, it's passing the ball, and it's hitting the table and coming back up. So that's where our reflected light comes from. And this is our value sphere. Now what I want y'all to do is I want y'all to label each of these parts. So this is our highlight, so we're going to draw a line and write highlight. So high and light. This is our mid-tone or half tone. So we're going to write mid-tone. Then this is our core shadow. So we need to make another line right here. Core shadow, so C-O-R-E, shadow. And down here, right, is our reflected light. So draw a line, right, reflected light, reflected light. And then this right here is our cast shadow. It's our darkest point. And that, boys and girls, is our value sphere. So we've done this and a color value. All right, boys and girls, let me tell you what I'm looking for in this week's assignment. You guys are going to be turning in to me 2 entry pages. The first one is going to be your color, tints, and values. And shades, I mean. So you have your value, then the title tint, and shade. So remember, shade is when you add black to a color, and tint is when you add white to a color. I should see 3 different colors. Your second page is going to be your value sphere. All right, so we should have the title value sphere. I should see a rectangle up here that has the 5 different shades or different gradients of value of the sphere and labeled. Then I should have your sphere with all of the values on it and labeled as well in the correct places. So we should have a light source, we should have our highlight, our midtone, our core shadow, our reflected light, and our cast shadow. These all need to be labeled as well, all right? You can turn this in as a picture or as a short video. Boys and girls, that's the end of my video. I had a lot of fun teaching you guys about value, and next week we're going to be learning about an artist who uses value in their artworks. See you guys next time!